Hey guys, today we're going to have a little bit of fun. Actually, I'm not going to have much fun at all. You're going to have some fun watching me struggle to change the oil in our truck Seymour, the Ford 6-liter that is equipped with a bulletproof diesel aftermarket oil cooling system. Have I changed the oil in our vehicles before? Why, yes, I've done it many times, but it's not something I typically do. You know, I eat a lot of hamburgers, but I haven't killed a lot of cattle. I usually outsource that job. And the same goes with changing the oil in my vehicles. Many years ago, I figured out that sometimes it makes sense to pay someone else to do certain jobs. So why am I here today on what is probably the hottest day of the year, changing the oil in this beast? Well, let's talk about this bulletproof diesel air to liquid oil cooling system, shall we? You know, it's kind of fun to think back and debate. What was the worst engineering decision made by Ford when they built the 6-liter diesel truck? A lot of people would mention the EGR valve and EGR cooler as the key points of engine failure, but really, the fundamental problem with the original engine design, the 6-liter, was the oil cooler. The oil cooler had a sort of honeycomb or poopsicle design, in which these different channels would weave back and forth, and there would be oil and coolant going back and forth. And over time, coolant would begin to break down and fail, and those little channels would clog up, and the end result would typically be a blown head gasket and destroyed engine. The bulletproof diesel solution, quite simply, was to scrap the original Ford design altogether. So the old oil cooler is no more in our truck. When we had our truck bulletproofed, the heart of the entire job was yanking out that old oil cooler and putting in its place an air to liquid bulletproof diesel oil cooler. And we also opted for the optional bypass filtration system. So now our truck has 2 oil filters, a primary oil filter and a bypass oil filter, and it holds a lot more oil. All this is fantastic because it makes for a more reliable truck in theory. But in reality, when you take a truck that's been modified by bulletproof diesel to your local oil change shop, they're going to look at it and go, huh? What do you mean it's got 2 filters? What do you mean you need 17 quarts of oil? It's just not something they see every day. So that's the reason, really, that I'm changing the oil myself today, because I'm tired of explaining to these other shops what I have installed in the truck. It's not that complicated. You know, an oil change in theory should take about 45 minutes. I'm sure it will take me much longer, but you can laugh at my struggles all the way through. What, you may ask, is the first step of any oil change on a vehicle? Warm up the truck. Why are we warming up the truck? Well, quite simply, warm oil flows better than cold oil. And one of the benefits you have when you're doing your own oil change, theoretically, you're not pressed for time. You know, when you take your vehicle to these oil change businesses, a lot of times they're just trying to get it done quickly and move on to the next customer. But, you know, here we can take our time. This little trip to my local auto parts store takes about 10 minutes each way. So it's kind of the perfect distance to warm up the engine. You guys know we placed down a pre-order on a Tesla Cybertruck. So I'm faced with a dilemma. Should I shell out $93,000 for a Cybertruck that will have 1/3 the towing range of this vehicle, or put some new tires and fresh oil in old Seymour here and take the $92,000 savings and travel around the world several times? What do you think I'm going to end up doing?
How are you?
Hey, good. How's it going?
Doing all right.
In pretty much every auto parts store, there will be kind of an oil change section, and you will find some filters on the shelf, you will find funnels, you will find drain pans, and you will find oil. And I already have several quarts at the house. I'm just going to get some extra. You see, the primary filters used in the bulletproof diesel oil cooling system are these Wix brand filters. And I already have the filters at home, but they're pretty reasonably priced in general. I mean, they seem to be high quality components and they're easy to find in pretty much any auto parts store. And you can see in the oil change section, you will find oil filter wrenches, and I already have a couple of these at the house. And I'm getting a very critical component, and that is the drain plug gasket, the little washer that goes around the drain plug. I've discovered in the past, if you don't replace those little washers with a fresh part, then they tend to leak. You see, we got all sorts of oil drain plug gaskets here. I can't resist the 24 quart drain container. This is probably the biggest one that I've seen. That's what she said. Well, the big shocker here from a price standpoint is this drain pan. 50 bucks. Let's get back to the house and we'll review all the parts that you need to do this oil change. I think you're starting to see why it makes sense to outsource this job. Quite frankly, that is a stupid amount of money to spend on an oil drain pan. They did not have the price labeled on the item. I don't think there's any way I would have bought it if I had known the price when I walked up to the counter. The gentleman referred to it as their Cadillac of oil drain pans. Home again, jiggity jig. I can't believe I paid 50 bucks for an oil drain pan. Well, the good news is the temperatures dipped down to 96 degrees. At the end of the day, an oil change means fresh oil and fresh oil filters, right? So for oil, we're going with Shell Rotella T4 triple protection. Why is T4 triple protection? I don't know. For the filters, this is filter number 51832, and you can see it is a big boy filter. We have a bypass filter. The bypass filter can cause some issues with oil change places. First of all, they don't understand why the truck has two filters quite often. They don't really get the whole bypass idea because they just don't see it very often. Secondly, the bypass filter is an AMSOIL product, the EABP 100, and you can see it's basically the same size pretty much as the Wix filter. So the engine has these two filters, and quite often oil change places will have this filter, but they probably will not have this filter, and you have to order these filters. So I usually order a couple of these at a time, and so I will always have one with me for the next oil change. You don't have to change the bypass filter with each oil change, but I like to put a fresh one on once a year. I think it's just good insurance, but it does run up the price of these oil changes. We need basically 4 gallons of oil. That's about $100 right there. These bypass filters are about 50 bucks, and the Wix filters, I want to say 25 or 30 bucks. So you can easily rack up $200 just in supplies to do these oil changes. One other critical part is this oil drain plug gasket made out of copper. And I bought 2 different sizes because frankly, I'm not sure exactly which one I'm going to need. When I see the old gasket, I will know. But in the past, I have done oil changes and neglected to put a fresh gasket on the drain plug, and guess what? It leaked. So I'm trying to avoid leaks. To remove the drain plug, I have a torque wrench with the appropriate socket that will be inserted on the end of the torque wrench. We'll use this to break it loose and drain the oil. I also have this filter wrench to lasso those old dirty oil filters and replace them with the fresh filters. So these tools should be all that we need, except I do not have any kind of vehicle lift in my humble home garage. So I have these ramps. We're going to pull our truck up on couple of these ramps just to lift the engine up off the ground. Now I have some old drain pans here. Whether or not I use the new drain pan will be a game time decision. When I look at the clearance space I have beneath the truck, then I'll decide if I want to enjoy that Cadillac of oil drain pans. If I think I can get by with my old drain pans, frankly, I'll probably do that, and I'll return the Cadillac and receive my $50 back. Rubber gloves always come in handy for this type of job, and I will be changing clothes into something I don't mind getting filthy. But that's what you tuned in to see, isn't it? As Captain Kirk said, may fortune favor the foolish. Woo! Who said we weren't going to have fun today? Well, I'm impressed, if not terribly confident about these ramps. If these ramps collapse, will I be squished like a bug? I think this is something that frankly looks worse in real life than I can show you on video, but these ramps have kind of buckled. Frankly, I don't plan on lingering beneath this vehicle. I have no confidence in these plastic ramps whatsoever. I'm going to put a couple of jack stands beneath the truck. Just a little added insurance, because I don't fully trust that. Pinched the F out of my finger with that jack stand. This is a good illustration of why you really should wear gloves doing these jobs. All right, now I have a little peace of mind. I'm not gonna get squished like a bug. Are you starting to see why this is a good job to outsource? Well, look at this 18 quart drain pan I found residing in my garage. Looks like it'd be wonderful for the job. Guys, I'm driving a 17-year-old truck. Do you really think I would be using a $50 oil drain pan when I already have a drain pan? Hell no. I have my torque wrench and a 3/4 inch socket. Now let's watch the magic happen. Oh yeah, here we go. There it goes. Let's try not to get oil all over myself and the driveway. Whee! All right, we're in business. And you see, now I'm going to be able to look at the old drain plug gasket. Working title of this episode, Seymour Takes a Leak. Sorry everyone, sorry. Here's the previous one. Clearly, it's not this one. So the only other option is this one. Does it fit? Well, if you leak, I'm not going to be happy. So we're going to move on and remove and replace the old filters. Here's a look at the primary oil filter inside the wheel well. You can see it's sort of tucked away back in there. Problem here is you can't get to the filter to have leverage because there's a protective bracket here. And you see, you can reach up here and grab it. A wise man once said, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Oh, come on. Lasso that sucker. Wrap up that rascal. Cooperate, damn it. Well, I've gone through my entire toolkit and discovered that none of the filter wrenches I have to remove the filters on this truck are sufficient for the job. So what did I do? I called in my secret weapon. You brought the tool that we needed.
Okay.
My father-in-law, Harry. And Harry always has that special tool that you need. You've always got the right tool for the job,
That's right.
Hey, I got plenty of tools at the house.
Yeah.
You know where they are.
And in this case, it is this particular filter wrench designed to grab the filter from the end cap. So I can come in from underneath the filter and should be able to break it loose from the truck. But honestly, without this particular tool, you're hard pressed to get any kind of leverage on these filters because of the way that they sit in the wheel well. All right, it's time for a little automotive yoga. Oh yeah. So with this particular wrench, I could come in from beneath. Let's see if I can tighten it on here. So there's the way it looks. Now if I could get some leverage. Oh yeah. Now that it's broken loose, I could probably undo it by hand. Oh yeah. So the hard part was just getting it started, getting it broken loose. But again, if you don't have the correct tool. Sorry. Slight fail. Major fail. You see, I told you this would be a very entertaining video. Isn't this fun? I don't know, just think of the money we're saving. Oh yeah. Oh. Don't tell the EPA, please. Have I made my case yet that there are some jobs that are better outsourced? All right, so here we have our new Wix filter. That's the primary oil filter going in Seymour. And a little Vasolina. Insert lube joke here. Little lubricant that goes around the rubber seal to help get a nice tight seal between the filter and the rest of the oil system. And this Vaseline will also help ensure that the filter does not get stuck and be quite a bear to break loose next time, like this one was. And, you know, now that I've already covered my hand in oil, I put on a rubber glove. Wife likes to go heavy on the lube, so she said put more on.
Yeah,
you did.
I did.
She did.
I did. Everybody complains about too much lube. Say it.
You see, I told you this was going to be an entertaining video. You can laugh at me over and over and over. And here goes. I've put the filter in place. I'm just going to try and get it started by hand, and then we'll tighten it maybe with the wrench. All right, I feel it is threading. Well, 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 look at that. Wow. I was actually able to thread it on there and hand tighten it pretty easily. And I'm going to give it a little extra twist with this tool. Hold on loosely. This tool is the best, because you'd be hard pressed to do this oil change without this tool. All right, filter one done. So here is a look at the bypass filter, which is in kind of the same spot on the opposite side of the truck. So we just repeat the process here, but to me, this looks like maybe an even tighter squeeze. We're just gonna try to have a drain pan in place so we do not create an Exxon Valdez situation here. Here we go, bypass filter, you coming out. Turn, turn, turn. Break on through. Break it loose. Oh, that felt good. Yeah, this is where I get a face full of motor oil. All right, now that's broken loose, I'm probably just gonna do the rest by hand. Oh yeah. This time we're ready for the oil slick. Come on out of there. Come on. Woo! Oh shoot. Oh, my camera. That camera made the ultimate sacrifice. Isn't this fun? All right, well, we're coming down the home stretch. Next step will be to replace the bypass filter, put on the new bypass filter. We're going heavy on the lube once again. So the bypass filtration, it just keeps your oil a little bit cleaner. I mean, in theory, you can go a little bit longer between oil changes. It's just a little extra protection. But you don't change the bypass filter with every oil change. It's typically every other oil change. This says service interval not to exceed 70,000 miles. But you'd never go 70,000 miles on one bypass filter. I've gotten some good use out of this creeper. Did you call me creepy?
No.
Never hurts to have a few sacrificial rags lying around. And ideally, it'd be nice to have some old cardboard boxes you could lay out in your driveway just to help protect your driveway from oil spills. No matter how hard you try, some oil is going to be spilled. That's just the way it goes. Don't tell the EPA. We just reverse the process, and I'm going to start out by threading it on by hand, and then I will tighten it. You see it threading up?
Uh-huh.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay, now you're getting close to the top.
Okay. So now we're going to take our little handy tool and twist it tight. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think you got it.
Yeah. That one felt good. It's a tight space to work in. Very tight. That's got it. Snug as a bug in a rug. Come on, baby. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. What was I thinking? We'll make a little video. We'll show the oil change. It'll be fun and easy. This is what I'm talking about. I want to make sure it's all good. You better not leak, you bastard. Lord have mercy. Feels snug as a bug in a rug, so. All right. Next. The drain plug. You don't want to put fresh oil in your engine without having a drain plug in place, do you? Here we have our drain plug with the new copper washer that I went to so much trouble to obtain. And we're going to put this back in place. Then we're going to insert fresh oil. So I'm going to get this thing started by just hand threading it back into place, and then we will properly torque it down. So guys, you may laugh at my technique, but how many people do you know that do camera while changing oil? I think I would get a gentleman C grade on both counts. All right, snug as a bug in a rug. Where we're gonna put our oil in, of course, is located in an incredibly inconvenient spot on the top of the engine. I'm gonna have to beat it. Try this little magic tool. Oh yeah.
Oh, it worked?
It did. It gave me just the leverage I needed to break that loose. I'm buying one of these. How about you guys? Just add oil. And 1 gallon is the equivalent of what? Anyone? Anyone? How many quarts in a gallon? 4, I think. Fresh oil goes in. What could go wrong now? Nothing. What a process. You see, some things really have gotten better over the years. Built-in handles on gallon oil containers is one of them. One word for you. Plastics. It's an old graduate joke. See, this really does test the strength of your arm. Lord have mercy. Of course, you don't want to overfill your vehicle with oil. That's a problem. And you don't want to underfill. You want to fill just right. It's very important that you get this bypass filter hose and cap securely back into place. We once took our truck to an oil change place and they failed to put this back where it needed to go. And when they drove the truck through the parking lot, it was spewing oil out all over the parking lot. And again, to the point of these bulletproof diesel oil systems, they're just a little different, and a lot of the oil change places had never seen them before and don't fully understand them. And sometimes, we have seen them make mistakes and make a big old mess. I'll never forget just seeing oil spraying all over the parking lot out of our truck. It was humorous, but I felt kind of bad for the oil change guy who did it. This is where oil is pumped out and circulates through that bypass filter, or vice versa, pumped in, pumped out. Either way, there's oil flowing through this hose. And if that thing is not in place, it's going to make a big old mess. So we're going to get the jack stands out from underneath the truck. Try not to pinch the F out of my fingers this time. The far, I mean. The F refers to far. Nothing can ever be easy. Lord have mercy. Get this one out. There's the oil slick. Now you have this to dispose of. You son of a... Yep, that thing put up a fight. Well, I don't see any leaks yet. So far, so good, but we haven't cranked the truck yet, so there's that. So that's it, guys. A fast and easy oil change. I like changing oil in general on certain vehicles because some vehicles are easier than others. It's just a different beast with this thing because of the location of the two filters. Everything seems to want to put up a fight. So this is the tool that really saved the day that Harry brought. And if I can locate one of these online, I will put a link to it in the description and/or comments beneath this video. This is called a two-way oil filter wrench. Other than some spilled oil, some cuts, some bruises, a lot of pain, suffering, high expense, long period of time, this was just a fast and easy, enjoyable process. So, I will probably spend the next several days recovering from this experience. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have despised it. Until next time, this has been yet another unusual episode of Long Long Honeymoon, the longest running RV show on the interwebs. And yes, Seymour is now ready to hit the road, in theory. So if you see a white Ford diesel truck spewing oil all over the place as it drives down the highway, you'll know it's us. Look for us on the road. We're going to be getting out there and doing some more camping in the very near future. Thanks, guys. Until next time, what do we say here? We say, lo, lo, ho. By the way, we've still got to dispose of the dirty oil. So what we'll do is just pour all of that oil into an old plastic bucket, seal it up, and take it to an oil change place. They are required by law to accept the old dirty oil and then properly process it for the environment. But that's just one additional step that you have to take when you're doing your own oil change. And again, really makes a good argument for not doing your own oil changes, doesn't it? Last year with this truck, we made it all the way from Alabama to Kentucky before breaking down. So, this year, fingers crossed, we'll make it to Missouri.